Good evening. I am giving a series of talks on COVID 19, the corona virus, and its implications on humanity and on planet Earth. Actually, this talk is a continuation of yesterday's talk, where I was discussing about the definition of life. What is the definition of life? I said yesterday the life is defined by consumption, reproduction, and adaptation. All life on earth, they do only three things. Actually, humans are mandated to do these three things. Yesterday, I argued giving reasons from the Bible: the consumption, the reproduction, the adaptation. That is Genesis chapter 1, verse 26 to 28. I quoted from the Bible. So humans live most of the time according to the mandate of God Himself. They obeyed God's commandment and they lived according to God's prescription, those three prescriptions of consumption, reproduction, and adaptation. In human anthropology, we call it the hunters and gatherers lifestyle. 10,000 years ago, humans lived a life of hunting and gathering. Human evolution goes back as far as 4 million years. We evolved from Africa, Eastern Africa, and the Homo erectus, that is 1.5 million years ago, he exited from Africa. So he is the father or mother of all the human beings on the planet. He is known as Homo erectus, one who came out of Africa. He populated the whole earth. So all these descendants of Homo erectus were hunters and gatherers. Men went on hunting. It's a game. They go and hunt deer, rabbits, and they bring meat to the camp. And the women went for gathering. With the basket, they went and gathered fruits, vegetables, greens, nuts, etc., etc. Even today we do that so beautifully. Men still go for work. That is hunting. They go work in the school, or they work in the in the field, or they work in the malls, they work in the factories. They are still doing hunting, all right. And women go for gathering. Today they don't take a basket, but they take a shopping bag and go to malls, and they go and get the good stuff for their kids and for the husband and for the family maintenance. So still the hunting and gathering is going on. And 10,000 years ago, everything changed. It is known as the agricultural revolution. The hunting and gathering was replaced by settlement and agriculture. I think women must have invented the agriculture because they gathered the nuts and fruits and vegetables naturally. Men were on the game, hunting. They didn't have much time to observe nature, but women observed while they were gathering. Under the tree they were picking up nuts, and it rained, And next day they found something sprouting. Oh my God, they told, oh, there are seeds. Seeds can sprout. And there we go, and we invented the agriculture. The women were the first one to invent agriculture. After invention of the agriculture, everything changed. And people love to produce food. Agriculture replaced hunting and gathering. Then we destroyed forest for agriculture. It's called slash and burning. Slash and burning agriculture. We destroyed forest, burn it, clear the place, only human interest. Food is produced only for humans. That's the first time we really learned to destroy. We became violent and we almost hated nature. So far, we have been very friendly and we were loving nature, but now nature is different. The human interest, anthropocentrism, only for human. So we destroy. So that's what is written even in the Bible. The hunter and gatherer lifestyle God prescribed, consumption, reproduction, adaptation. But now they are rejecting. As I told you in human anthropology, the agriculture was replacing the hunters and gatherer lifestyle. In the Bible, we are told that Tower of Babel, Babel or Babel. So that symbolizes the building, the Tower of Babel or Babel, symbolizes the agricultural revolution or technological revolution. The Tower of Babel is written in the book of Genesis in the chapter 11. I would like to explain this yesterday, but I didn't have much time. But today let us discuss about it. The Tower of Babel, in the chapter 11, we read as follows. Now the whole world had one language and a common speech. As people moved eastward, they found a plain in Shinar and settled there. So now settlement happened. 10,000 years ago, as I told you, settlement means agriculture, the invention of agriculture. Before that, hunters and gatherers, they didn't have a place. They were moving and moving. But now they settled. So the Bible also telling, and they settled there. So before that, the whole world had one language, and they were going and gathering and hunting. Now, they didn't want to give importance to what God has said to them, mandated, the consumption, reproduction, adaptation. Very simple. Here comes the distortion. Here comes the dysfunction from other life forms. All life, those who go by instinct, they even today, still follow consumption, reproduction, adaptation. But now, humans wanted to do something else. That is called dysfunctionality. Some ancestors, our own ancestors, they thought, consumption, reproduction, adaptation, all Stone Age lifestyle. Why should we do that? Let us invent. We are human beings, we have got free choice, we have got brain. Why should we depend on instinct? We have got the neocortex. There are two lobes, left and right. We are different from other creatures. That's arrogance. So they said to one another, the Bible says in the chapter 11 of Genesis, come, let's make bricks bricks and baked them thoroughly. They used brick instead of stone and tar for mortar. Then they said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city with a tower that reaches to the heavens, so that we may make a name for ourselves. Otherwise, we will be scattered over the face of the whole earth." You see, here distortion comes and dysfunctionality comes. Let us make a name for ourselves. It's not God's name. We have forgotten that. We have rejected what God has told to do, that is consumption, reproduction, adaptation. God so loved us that we want to have a wonderful life. Eat, have sex, and adapt. Is it too difficult? It's very easy. It's full of fun. But now we want to make a name for ourselves. So the life what we lead today, it's not God's mandate. It is mandated by some of our ancestors. I mean, one man thinking, or two people thinking, or a group of people thinking, that we imposed on the future generations. That is what we are doing even today, without asking any question. Yes. And God saw this. That's what the Bible says. Chapter 11, the book of Genesis, verse 5 onwards. The Lord came down to see the city and the tower the people were building. The Lord said, "If as one people speaking the same language, they have begun to do this, then nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them. Come, let us go down and confuse their language, so they will not understand each other." In other words, God didn't want them to go and invent agricultural revolution, industrial revolution, green revolution, technology. No. Just telling, come back. Consumption, reproduction, adaptation. Understand that? It's very simple. God made life very simple. It is humans that complicate it. Some of our ancestors, a group of people, complicated the simple life. That is what I am contemplating today because of the outbreak of corona virus, COVID-19. Thank you, COVID-19, for inspiring all of us. So what did God do? So the Lord scattered them from there over all the earth, because after confusion of language, they can't communicate. So he scattered them. If they are one place, probably they will cause trouble. So now they scattered them, and they stopped building the city. No language, and they fragmented the community. No workforce. Finished. The work did not progress. That is why it was called Babel or Babel, because there the Lord confused the language of this whole world. From there the Lord scattered them over the face of the whole earth. So God did not want them to go for technology, etc., agricultural revolution, industrial revolution, green revolution. No. He didn't want them to go to school or church or to work or to other activities, what we would like to do today because other people asked us to do. No, he didn't want. He just told, come back to consumption, reproduction, and adaptation. That's what Pope Francis is also writing in Laudato Si, the encyclical which was written in 2015. In the paragraphs number 98 and 150, he talks about consumption, reproduction, and adaptation. So 98th paragraph of Laudato Si, Pope Francis says that Jesus, he gives a very good example, says that Jesus lived with full harmony with the mandate of his Father, that is consumption, reproduction, adaptation. Here he writes in the paragraph number 98 of Laudato Si, Jesus lived in full harmony with creation, and others were amazed. What sort of man is this, that even the winds and the sea obey him? His appearance was not that of an ascetic set apart from the world, nor of an enemy to the pleasant things of life, that is consumption and reproduction and adaptation. Jesus was not the enemy. He was the lover of them all. Of himself he said, the Son of Man came eating and drinking. They say, look, a glutton and a drunkard. He was far removed from philosophies which despised the body, matter, and the things of the world. Such unhealthy dualisms, nonetheless, left a mark on certain Christian thinkers in the course of history and disfigured the gospel. The quote closed. 98th paragraph of Laudato Si. Pope is saying, continue to do consumption and reproduction and adaptation. Actually, about adaptation, he writes in a special way in the paragraph number 150 of Laudato Si, in which he writes as follows: more precious still is the service we offer to another kind of beauty, people's quality of life, their adaptation to the environment, encounter and mutual assistance. So that is what today we should provide. The consumption, the reproduction, it's okay. People understand, but the adaptation they don't understand. Adaptation, we need to educate them, because there are so many limiting factors we encounter today. No food, no water, no air, global warming, climate change, extinction of species, issue of water, disease, desertification, drought, hunger, so on and so forth. These are known as the limiting factors. Where are the limiting factors for life? Only one option is open, that is adaptation. Yes. Pope Francis writes in the paragraph 150, adaptation to the environment is very important. So COVID-19 has taught us great wisdom, and right here I have the simple things of life. See here, food. I love papayas. I love saprodillas. I love fruits. Consumption, reproduction, adaptation. God so loved the world and He loved humans. He wanted every species to enjoy. He never wanted any species to suffer. Have a good time, eat, have sex, reproduce, and then adapt. If this environment does not have food and water and shelter, ditch it out and move on. And go where there is food, water and shelter is available, and adapt yourself. COVID-19, thank you for helping us to contemplate on the mandate of God. And we should reject anything that was taught by our human ancestors who had self-interest. Thank you.